So recently Blep over at Invokation Academy built a Genius Invocation TCG draft simulator. And when I saw this, I knew I had to go in and draft the deck to test my skills and see if I really am the great player that I think I am. So after drafting what I'm going to be calling Poor Man's Superconduct, which uses Razor and Keqing instead of the typical Raiden and Chongyun variations, I went into Arena of Champions to attempt this 5-0, and well, here's how it went. Starting off the games, I ran into Nilo Blue, which was honestly really terrifying since I didn't have a lot of damage mitigation in the deck, with only one Lotus Flower Crisps and a Butter Chicken. But thankfully our opponent played round 1 really slowly, which just sort of gave us that opportunity to build up Shenha's burst to prep for next round. They chose to go double star signs to prep their burst though. Our opponent started off round 2 with Baiju's burst, and I opted to go for Shenha's in response to this, even though it gave them their first bloom core of the match. I had to now perpetually play around Dendro application. They switched to Mona to get her summon out to guarantee a Dendro core at the end of turn, but I switched to Keqing just to get some energy up and just make sure that I get a Superconduct at the end of turn.
I will do as you command.
So while I knew that Shenha was gonna die after this, I chose to still reskill on her just to reapply cryo and make sure that I got a second Superconduct when I swapped back to Keqing. Swapping back to Keqing would also give that last energy that I needed so that the burst would be there in pocket right when I needed it. I chose to swap to Razor at the end of this turn, though I misplayed a little bit using the only fast swap I had in the deck. Using Razor's skill to break Baiju's shield was very risky, but I knew that I could safely do it. Unfortunately, though they had the fast swap and they killed off Razor with Mona's burst. That however left them on 1 dice and us with a full prep Keqing ready to go. I equipped Gamblers, burst, and then cleaned up the game, thus getting me my first victory.
My reckoning. Let's go. Speed of light. It's time.
Starting off game 2, I ran into a deck I'd hoped to never ever see during this challenge, and that was Freeze. Especially this version with Signora who had a free res, it could completely mess me up. However, I started the first round with just a skill on Shenha, get those icicles and see how much pressure I could get off on Shenha before she got frozen. Unfortunately, they spent a fair bunch of dice gearing up Eula, which left us the ability to put Lucky Dog's Silver Circle onto Shenha and reskill just to heal up a little bit more. Since they swapped to Eula, I decided this round to stay on Shenhe and Burst, which guaranteed that I would get a Superconduct at least once per round.
Crush.
I decided to reskill on Shenhe here, just to again get some more HP with Silver Circlet, but they switched to Neuvillette. To prevent the freeze, I switched to Razor. I decided next to skill on Razor and then use Cult's Art at the end of turn make sure that I got Razor's Burst ready for the next round. While Razor's Burst didn't do a whole lot during this match, it did what it needed to and got Signora down below 4 HP, which meant that I no longer had to worry about her res as long as I could survive another round. Reapplying Cryo to Neuvillette before he managed to freeze Shenhe was absolutely massive here, as I was way ahead on life totals and now I had a clean character going into next round. Shenhe's normal attack was able to take out both Neuvillette and Signora, rebursting on Signora. That left just a fully geared up Eula to deal with.
Cryo Incarnate.
Between Razor and Keqing, this would be a piece of cake, and I managed to clean up between this round and the next one, and take my second victory.
Freeze to the core.
Lupica, my Lupica.
Beg for mercy. Speed of light. I'll be back.
Going into game 3, I ran into yet another freeze deck. This time it was a little bit more standard with Charlotte and Kazuha.
What exactly
Charlotte being
is
able to
Teamwork?
apply the cryo and Kazuha being able to swirl it, with Neuvillette picking up the freezes. Unfortunately, I had some dice of cringe, so I had to open with a Shenhe normal attack.
Smile.
Drawing Vorokashas here was great because it would allow me to redraw extra cards, heal up Shenhe, and guarantee cryo dice with upper epicles. To prevent them swirling cryo this early in the game, I played my Covenant to draw some more cards with Willow and swap to Razor.
I'll watch your back.
Starting off the round with a Razor skill to apply Electro, they returned with a normal attack on Kazuha. I decided to Lotus Crisp, which gave us a Sumeru City with Mimir. This would come incredibly clutch later on. Getting Razor's Burst ready, they fast swapped into Charlotte to reapply Cryo.
Hold that pose.
We open with a Razor skill here, even though I knew that Neuvillette would freeze. I took this risk because it would get me a better swap into Keqing, which I played changing shifts to go for a 0 cost
Time is
swap.
against us.
I played Butter Crab to make sure the last stack of Charlotte and Neuvillette's prep skill just didn't do as much damage as they should have. To try and prevent the freeze on Keqing, I swapped back to Shena here,
I will do
but
as you command.
yet again our opponent had the Catherine and froze Shenhe with Neuvillette's skill.
Be sanctified.
Choosing to sacrifice Razor here so that I could get the clean swap into Keqing, our opponents killed off our Razor, I got on, played Sapwood Blade onto Keqing, then normal attacked. Having Keqing burst here, I chose to instead go with Leeway Resonance to maintain priority and make sure that we got that burst off on the next round. Starting off the round with Keqing's burst put some incredible chip damage in, which meant that after Neuvillette manages to kill our Keqing, Shena is able to come in, equip Gamblers, and I managed to clean up the game, leaving Charlotte and Shenhe in a 1v1, and Charlotte just doesn't have the damage to KO at this point, even though they played Egg. So I picked up now a 3-0, and it was onto the fourth game.
Incarnate. At least I documented everything.
Going into game 4, our opponent could have been the scariest one yet, being Nahida Overburn, but a variation of the deck using Toma instead of Zhangling as the standard variations would. I decided to play Chang and open with a skill to prep the Icy Quiz. Our opponent then made a really weird play and only normal attacked after playing a Bestest on Toma, and then ended the round. Maybe they got the dice of cringe this time. Prepping Liben for the next round, I decided to end. This round, our opponent made an even weirder choice, ending with 8 dice ready. The game was basically all in our favor, so I used Keqing's skill to prep her stiletto, switching back to Shenhe to just pick up the kill with her burst. After I did this, however, they conceded, thus leaving us with a 4-0 and onto game 5. After this, for game 5, we ran into our game 2 opponent, and suddenly the 5-0 felt as far away as when I'd first started. Since this game played out mostly like the first one, I'm just going to let it play, and you can decide if I made the right plays or not. I'll see you all again for the outro.
The pale flame smolders.
Obey. Let's go. Time is against us. Speed of light.
Witness my suffering!
What exactly is teamwork?
By ordinance divine.
I never asked for redemption.
Incoming.
The tides beckon. When the tide comes in, I shall return.
Shudder. I will not go quietly. I'll be back with a vengeance.
After playing the games, I'd say this challenge really made me think outside the box and the standard play patterns that I was used to, and I really do recommend Blep's Genius Invocation TCG Drafter to anyone pro player or casual who wants something different and just to sort of test their skills. And after doing this, I went on to get another 2 5.0s with draft decks, which I did over on that purple website that I'm going to link in the description below, in case you want to catch me doing this live. Lastly, thank you to anyone who's watched this far, and if you have enjoyed the content so far, why not leave a like and a sub? It really helps support me, and I'll see you all for the next one.